Morning, and welcome to Manhood Mondays with Coach Ellis. Hey, look, I'm going to talk about a very delicate subject this morning. And I was listening to Sports Center on the radio, and they had this commercial talking about men's health issues. And then, as I'm listening to the commercial, it talks about, hey, if you lost your mojo, are you tired and irritable, and those type of things. I'm thinking, okay, now they've done gone and created something just to market some fake medicine, and as I started listening to the commercial, then I started talking to some guys at work, at church, around around my circle of influence, and my sphere, guys in my tribe, and as I started talking to older men, I discovered that this commercial on Sports Center was no joke. There really is this hormonal thing that goes on with men. And I said, you got to be kidding me. Then I heard there was a name for this called MANapause. Now, I'll let you know that everybody's heard of menopause, right? This is what women do when they grow older. As Wendy Williams would say, when they become a woman of a particular age, they start going through this transition. I did not know that men do the same thing. I did not know that men had this hormonal shift as they grew older. And so as I'm listening to this commercial, I'm talking to these men, particularly older men, I decided to go have a chat with some professionals. And I had a chat with some doctors who told me this, that this menopause syndrome is possibly one of the least understood issues in men's health. Most of the reason is that men do not want to confront issues with their manhood. Now, I called my dad. I said, Dad, let's have this conversation, because does this stuff really happen? And he says he knows men that it's happened to. Most of his life he's known men like this. And he said that the problem is that we as men, we don't have these conversations with our doctors. So the reason I'm bringing this up on a Manhood Monday, this isn't about relationships. This isn't about leadership. This isn't about your theology. This is about men. And it affects you in your relationships. It affects you in your leadership. It affects you in your life. You know that what makes a man is testosterone that flows through his body. And if you have this instance of low testosterone, get on it early. What I'm told is, the doctors have told me in the interviews, is that men naturally have a decline in their hormone testosterone throughout their life. What happens is that most men, when they grow older, they simply think that they've lost interest in their significant other. They, being tired and irritable is just part of growing older. And really, it's a hormonal imbalance. So what I'm encouraging men to do is when you find yourself out of sorts, when you find yourself emotional, and I'm not talking about just crying. I know a guy who literally would sit down and watch TV and cry whenever there was a happy ending. What type of manhood is that? But then when I talked to him, I began to understand that this was part of the health dynamic going on in his life. I know a preacher who cried every Sunday. This was a man's man, and he cried every Sunday. And I'm thinking, how is that even possible? And he was going through this transition in life, and he did not recognize it. And it wasn't until he went to his doctor and said, check my testosterone, because I'm having man issues, because men don't cry like this. And the doctor said, sure enough, he had low testosterone. So guys, before we start writing off things as simply being a fact of life as we grow older, before we start writing things off that I'm no longer attracted to my wife, I'm no longer attracted to my loved one, I'm old and I deserve to be crabby and irritable, And I've worked hard all my life, so I can be tired. Before you sign off on these things and start making excuses for being who you are not, have yourself checked out. Okay. When I talk relationships with women, I'll say healthy is hot. And men, if we're not healthy, how can we be the men we're supposed to be? When your children say, Dad, you're kind of cranky. Or you find yourself crying at a drop of a dime, and you're not the type of guy who cries all the time. Get yourself checked. There's nothing wrong with you. Okay? This is a normal transition in life, but there are ways to help normalize you. Just as women have hormone replacement, men have hormone replacement. And because we don't get it, one of the reasons I'm convinced that some of our leaders who are men make some stupid decisions and some very uncharacteristic decisions is that their body is out of balance. And so when your body's out of balance, your brain's out of balance. When your brain's out of balance, you make decisions you would not ordinarily make. So come on, guys. Health is not something to be prideful about. Health is essential. So I implore you on this Manhood Monday, when you feel that you're out of sorts and you don't know what's going on, go get checked. And if nothing else, when your blood pressure's good, your blood sugar's good, have the doctor check your testosterone. And then when he does, and you find out that something's going on with your testosterone, do whatever it takes to get your manhood mojo back. And I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about getting who you authentically are. Because altered chemicals in your brain changes your personality, changes your outlook, and affects everybody you love. And those who you love deserve for you to be healthy. They deserve for you to know what's going on with your body. So in the words of a comic friend of mine, get her done. Go get yourself checked out and make sure that you know if your testosterone is where it needs to be at. Low T is no joke. So go get taken care of and be the man that God intended for you to be. I'm Coach Ellis. Join me. You can contact me at coach@elliscrum.net. You got questions about Low T, I got doctor friends who will gladly talk to you. Or you can catch me at Coach on Facebook at Coach Ellis. Until next week, till next Manhood Monday, have a one-tabulous and wonderful Monday. We'll see you next week. God bless you.